Listen, I'm always going to tell you guys the truth. Good, bad, ugly. I am always going to tell you guys the truth. And I have to hope that at some point I have gained enough credibility in this area where you believe me when I say that I'm telling you the truth and something that you need to hear. And what you need to hear today is that Moms for Liberty, which is an organization that I normally really like, I do. I know the people in the Moms for Liberty chapter in New Hampshire. I think they're doing a really good job. But there is a chapter in Tennessee of Moms for Liberty that just made a major unforced error. They screwed up. They screwed up big time. And their screw up is on CNN. And that means that this is not just about the county chapter of Moms for Liberty in Tennessee having a major unforced error. This is going to impact all of us. And so I don't want to hear any talk like, Carlin, you are just starting drama and you're just infighting. No. We need to point this out when it happens. We need to learn from this, and we need to not do it again. So essentially, we're gonna watch a clip from CNN and we're gonna read this article, but let me give you the too long, didn't read version of what happened. A chapter head of a county chapter of Moms for Liberty in Tennessee is basically trying to get books that taught about the reality of segregation outlawed from schools. Now, the anti-CRT movement has never been opposed to teaching historical realities. We've never been opposed to teaching historical realities. We are not opposed to teaching that segregation happened. We should be teaching that segregation happened. And I don't care if it makes white students feel uncomfortable. I don't care if the argument to a student about learning about segregation is the student shouldn't learn about slavery and segregation in the civil rights movement because it's going to make that white student feel uncomfortable. Congratulations, dude. That's white fragility. You just served up a clear example of white fragility on a silver flipping platter. The left is going to use this crap over and over and over and over and over again. They're going to use it to say those evil anti-CRT people are exactly who we told you that they are, and that's why we need more anti-racism training and more equity and more 1619 Project. Every single time an example like this happens, it just results in the left using it to their advantage to get what they want. So I don't want to hear any bullshit about Carlin is just infighting because she just likes drama. No, Carlin wants to win. I want to win. I don't particularly care if I hurt people's feelings along the way if we ultimately win. And when people screw up, we should be able to say that. And if you are uncomfortable with that, then probably you're just what Robin DiAngelo said you are. We don't have the time or the resources to make mistakes like this. And if you don't acknowledge when these things happen, if you just want to sweep them under the rug to support your little tribe, I'm not on anyone's tribe, dude. I'm on the team that wants to effing win. And I've seen a lot of this lately, and this is part of the reason that I'm bringing this up is it is not just about this article. I've seen a lot of this reactionary behavior lately among the people fighting back when any time anything about race is written about or discussed, people immediately have a reactionary vibe to it. I get sent surveys all the time of, Carlin, my student was asked what their race is. They're obviously teaching CRT. No, dude, that's not what CRT is. And I understand it. Everyone's a little on edge. I get it. But you got to take a step back and you have to think about how your actions play in the bigger picture. So we're going to read this article and we're going to watch a clip from CNN so you can see exactly how the left is going to frame this every single time you do crap like this so that hopefully you stop doing it. You know, I posted about this on Twitter. I said this was a major F up by Moms for Liberty. And the one of the responses I got was, well, Carlin, what would you have them do instead? don't do this. The correct response is not to do this. Not to throw a hissy fit when books are taught that explain the historical realities of segregation in this country, because that is a historical reality. And what we should be doing is saying, yes, segregation happened. It was wrong then, just like it's wrong now. And hello, look at all the progress we've made since then. That's what should have been done. That's what should have been done. Not say, as this mom did, and we're going to see that, not say, it makes my white son uncomfortable to think about segregation, so we just shouldn't teach it at all. No. That is not the correct answer. That is exactly the type of white fragility that Robin DiAngelo has made millions of dollars selling. Congratulations. You let Robin DiAngelo win. So we're gonna look at what happened, and hopefully you guys enjoy some truth telling, because I'm in a truth telling mood. If you do enjoy truth telling, you're gonna want to make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do post content like this, similar to this, not exactly this kind of like, you fucked up and now you got to do better content, but like about the culture war, about what's going on with critical race theory, the woke nonsense, all that stuff. I post content almost every single day of the week. Please make sure you're subscribed if you want to be. You can also help me out by making sure, if you're subscribed, making sure your notifications are on. I actually really want to get the number of people on the channel who have their notifications on up. It's only like 15% right now. And when you turn on notifications, that, at least helps YouTube actually serve you my content. And again, I do upload almost every single day. So if you haven't seen it lately, that might be why. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it out. You can also join me in Locals. Locals is the only place where I can be uncensored on the internet. Not the only place, but the primary place that I'm at. I have a great Locals community. We're actually having Benjamin Boyce come into our community for a Zoom call tomorrow with community members. So there's still time to get in on that. I've got the address and the little ticker right down there, kb.locals.com. All right, let's take a look. Let's watch this clip from CNN.
American history is up for debate.
His parents taught him about George Washington, and he identifies George Washington as a white man, and then asks if he would be killed back then because he has brown skin. I mean, he's judging George Washington not by any of what about being the founder of our country.
So when do we tell the kid that, in fact, he may have been killed back then because of the color of his skin?
Well, I'm not sure that's what you teach, that you would have been killed for the color of your skin.
No, wrong answer. See, this mom is so opposed to talking about race at all that she can't even wrap her head like if we fight for teaching historical realities in school, then yes, you do teach that back in the day you may have been killed for the color of your skin if you were black, because that is a historical reality. That's reality. We didn't start out as a perfect union. That's why it says in the Declaration of Independence for a more perfect union, or the Constitution. One of the two. I forget which one. I'm sure one of you will let me know in the comments. But that's not the point. The point is that the goal is to be a more perfect union. We were not perfect at the founding. A lot of bad things happened. And we should be able to teach those things without moms going, it's going to make my white child feel uncomfortable.
That's a narrative. That's a narrative, really. That's
no.
Robin Steenman is trying to change.
No, that is not a narrative. That's real. No. You don't give yourself or any of us, because every single one of us, like, I'm sorry, I'm one of the more public people on this issue. I'm going to be framed with this bullshit, and I don't like it, and neither should any of you.
Change the narrative on race in the Williamson County, Tennessee public school district. She pulled her child out of public school, and now she leads a chapter of Moms for Liberty in this wealthy, Republican-leaning suburb. Nationally, the group is known for loudly protesting school masking.
And it has traumatized Williamson County kids.
But Steenman's chapter filed a different kind of complaint with the Tennessee Department of Education this summer.
Because it's historically accurate, it's appropriate for a 6, 7, 8-year-old.
Moms for Liberty is angry about an inclusion curriculum being taught in the county public schools. They're mostly concerned about 4 books being taught in 2nd grade. One tells a story of school segregation through the eyes of Mexican American students. One is about the March on Washington. And 2 are about civil rights icon Ruby Bridges.
I'll show you in the teacher's manual. It instructs the teacher to point this word out and teach about racial slurs. And how
Steedman says it's okay for kids to read the book Bridges wrote about her experience as a 6-year-old, but it's not okay for kids to talk about some of the pictures.
That is a literal Norman Rockwell painting. This woman does not want your kids to look at a Norman Rockwell, but that is a literal Norman Rockwell painting.
In the book, like Norman Rockwell's famous painting.
All this curriculum highlights is the mean white people and how she's victimized, and it speaks to nothing of the good.
Educators across the country.
It's not about that. It's about segregation in schools. We need to be able to teach that is, I remember that dang book, dude. That's not critical race theory. Teaching about segregation in schools is not critical race theory.
Are alarmed by talk like this.
We see some sort of almost manufactured crisis here. There is a crisis in how we teach history in this country. You would never go into a school in Germany and say, "Oh, why do you teach about Nazism?" You would never ask that question because they...
Do you see how the left is going to use this crap every single time it happens? Every single time a mom goes on CNN and says, I don't want my little darling learning about segregation in schools, which is bullshit because it's a historical reality, the left is going to take that clip and they're going to say, oh, you probably wouldn't want people teaching about World War II either. Dude, this is a reality. I had to spend all last year listening to Republicans talk about 4D chess, 4D chess, 4D chess, 4D chess. Start playing fucking 4D chess, dude. What do you think they're going to do when you go on CNN and you hold up a children's book that's been taught for a long time in the schools with a literal Norman Rockwell painting in it, and you say, I don't want my little darling learning this because it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. What do you think they're going to do? You have to think about how the left is going to use every single thing that you put out there. And I know that the right, you guys like to, and I'm speaking specifically to people like, you know, some of you do this, some of you don't. If you don't do this, I'm not speaking to you. But sometimes you guys like to be difficult just to prove you can. You guys like to say things because you're trolling and you're going to piss people off. And guess what? That troll ends up on goddamn CNN. It's not a game, man. It's not a game. Stop doing crap like this. Let's continue to watch how the left is going to use this.
They do teach about it because teachers want kids in Germany to understand what that history was.
The Moms for Liberty complaint says students are being taught lessons that have anti-American, anti-white, and anti-Mexican teaching. And state law...
Stop using the term anti-white. Stop it. If you don't understand why, you can go back and watch some of the previous streams that I've done on the term anti-white. And why it is bad. And why you're associating yourself with really bad people every single time. I will link a stream. I won't even expect you to go and search. I will link a stream in the description of this video for you to go back and watch that clearly and unequivocally lays out why you do not use the term anti-white. And I want to hear about it from any of you in the comments if you haven't watched the stream. And I'm going to know if you haven't watched the stream. It's going to be so clear. Go watch the stream if you don't understand.
May be on their side.
And we will not be teaching critical race theory in Tennessee.
In May, the governor signed HB 580 into law. It bans lesson plans that make students, quote, feel discomfort, guilt, or anguish because of their race.
Now, this was a poorly written part of this law. I'm sorry. This was a badly written law. The goal of it was so that teachers wouldn't teach that you're inherently racist because you're white. That's the goal. But how is it being framed now? And again, this isn't even how the left is framing it. This is how a Moms for Liberty chapter freaking president or whatever the hell is explaining it, saying, well, my child shouldn't have to learn anything that might make them feel uncomfortable, so they shouldn't have to learn about segregation in schools. Dude, that's not the point. If you make that the point, we are all going to lose. You're going to lose. Your kid's really going to lose, by the way. I'm going to lose. Everyone fighting back is going to lose. If you make the goal that white students just shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable ever, we're all going to lose. We're all going to lose.
Liberty says the new rules mean separate is never equal. A picture book about the California schools in the 1940s should be banned because it makes both white and Hispanic kids feel bad.
The ones where it looks like the Mexican children are behind bars and it says
that surprises the book's author.
The villain here is racism, is segregation. And at the end of the book, what I wanted to show is the Mexican-American children and the white children being in school together and playing together and interacting with each other.
These conversations about the past are very relevant. Other moms in the community.
Do you see how they're using this? Do you see how they're using this? Where this Moms for Liberty person, they filed a complaint about this book, and now and they focused on the most negative possible interpretation of earlier parts of that book, and then CNN swoops in and they're like, "But look, the book is really about all children, regardless of race, playing together. That means we are the ones who are fighting racism, and they are the ones who want segregation. Why don't they want kids to learn how to love each other?" That's exactly how they're playing it. No one can force you to be smart about this. No one can force you to think about the consequences on all of us when you make these unforced errors. No one can force you to do, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Let's wrap this up.
You say.
My son had an incident at his middle school that was where students locked arms, and if you were white, they would break the arms to let kids go through. If you were black, they kept their hands together and told you that you needed to go back to Mexico.
They said they were building a wall.
They were building a wall.
Public school moms Ravita Rahman and Jennifer Cortez founded the group.
And every single one of us, if that is happening in your kid's school, should say, no, that's right. Listen, man, if you aren't going to stand up, you have to know your principles when you're fighting this battle. If you aren't going to stand up and do the right thing, then don't put yourself on CNN, dude. I know what I stand for. I stand for a color indifferent society based on individualism and meritocracy. It's not that I don't see people. That's why I use the term color indifferent. I hate the term colorblind. I hate it. Because it says that you don't see when someone is a different race. Of course you see it. Of course you do. I saw that mom that was just on the screen. She's obviously black. I obviously can see that she's black, but I'm not going to treat her differently because she's black. I'm not going to treat her any differently than I would treat anyone else because of the color in her skin. That's what color indifferent means. If you don't know what principles you stand for and aren't willing to stand up for them when it's inconvenient, then why are we even having this discussion? Why are we even bothering?
One Wilco, after a series of racial incidents, rocked the district.
What's concerning about the law, it's not inclusive of everybody. I don't think it's divisive talking about these uncomfortable topics.
They're bullying our school board. They're bullying our elected officials.
The school board told CNN it's reviewing the books cited in the complaint.
What would it mean for education if books like Separate is Never Equal were pulled off the shelves by these laws that we're seeing spread up across the country?
Well, I think we're entering toward a pretty scary time if we're talking about politicians banning books. I thought we were long past those days. Educators.
Listen, Moms for Liberty was having, and is I still think having legitimate fights over getting rid of books in schools that promote not promote, promotes, depict overtly sexual acts. I'm on board with that. This fight, you want to ban books in schools that teach legitimate historical realities about racism because it's going to make your little darling feel uncomfortable? This is not a winning fight. This is not a winning battle. So I think I've made my point. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Again, if you want an alternative to this, I'm going to say, don't do this. Don't do this. This is not the way we're going to win this fight. We didn't read the article. I will link it in the description below. You can see it's got all sorts of information. But again, this is not even about, this is about how they are going to paint this, how they're going to use this, how they're going to use it against all of us, how they're going to use it against every single person that's fighting back against critical race theory, every single person that's speaking up at school boards, every single person like me that's public on the internet talking about this stuff. I don't agree with this. I don't agree that we should be banning books that talk about the historical realities of segregation and the civil rights movement and slavery because it makes white students feel uncomfortable. I do not agree. And I do not believe that you should be using that law in Tennessee in order to do it. And I think that this Moms for Liberty president has created a whole bunch of problems for an awful lot of us, and she should really rethink her strategy. And the national organization should let her know, don't do crap like this again. And I'm sorry, Moms for Liberty. I support what you're doing. I really do. Again, I think that 95% of what I've heard about your organization and the work it's doing is highly positive. But if you let this crap slide, you're setting us all up. I've shown through my reporting on FAIR, the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, how I handle organizations that I don't think are serving all of us. So don't think for 1 second if this crap keeps up that I won't do the same thing to you. People need to understand and know what they're supporting. I think that this is an isolated incident. I think it can be rectified. I think we can learn from it. But I beg of you not to double down and to give this woman a good stern talking to and say, don't do this crap again. This is not what we stand for. Who knows if that'll happen? Because we live in an age of outrage and alarmism and extremism. But that's my thoughts on it. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I hope you will subscribe today because I will always tell you the truth as I see it, because your support, especially in locals, the thing ticking across the screen right now, helps keep me independent. I don't have to go and adhere to anyone's ideology or narrative or any of that. I can tell you what I think based on everything that I'm seeing. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, give it a thumbs up. That's all I've got for right now. I will see you guys soon.